Good afternoon and welcome to the 2022 Child Care Relief Fund Quarterly Reporting Guide. Today we will walk through the process of submitting the quarterly reports that are required in order to receive your 2022 CCRF awards. Please note, the information contained here has been prepared by Civitas Strategies Early Start and is not intended to constitute legal, tax, or financial advice. The Civitas Strategies Early Start team has used reasonable efforts in collecting, preparing, and providing this information, but does not guarantee its accuracy, completeness, adequacy, or currency. The publication and distribution of this information is not intended to create, and receipt does not constitute an attorney-client or any other advisory relationship. Reproduction of this information is expressly prohibited. In order to continue receiving your 2022 Child Care Relief Fund awards, you must submit quarterly reports explaining how you spent your funds. In today's conversation, we'll be discussing the payment and reporting timeline for 2022 CCRF awards, the requirements for quarterly reporting, how to complete your quarterly reports, and how to set up a system to track the expenses you will be reporting. You will receive your 2022 CCRF funds in 4 equal payments. The first payment is usually mailed within 7 days of your application approval date. If you aren't sure of the status of your 2022 CCRF application, you can check it in the CCRF application portal. Look under your active application list and you should see the status of your application. While your first CCRF payment is mailed automatically, in order to receive your next payments, you must submit quarterly reports explaining how you spent the funds that you already received. You will not receive your second, third, or fourth payments until your quarterly reports are submitted. Once those reports are in, payments will be issued 3 months after your last payment. We suggest setting reminders so that you have plenty of time to prepare and submit your report. In the CCRF portal, you can see your CCRF approval date, which allows you to determine when your report is due. You will receive a reminder email about 1 week before your due date. The reminder will be sent to the email address on file with Child Care Regulation. You are required to submit 3 quarterly reports over the life of your CCRF award, plus 1 final report at the end, after you receive your last payment. Your first report is due no later than 3 months after your application approval date. As a reminder, you can view your approval date in the CCRF portal. You must submit your first report before TWC releases your second payment. Your second report is due no later than 6 months after your application approval date or 3 months after you receive your second payment. You must submit your second report before TWC releases your third payment. Your third report is due no later than 9 months after your application approval date or 3 months after your third payment is received. You must submit your third report before TWC releases your fourth payment. Your final report is due after you receive your last payment and no later than June 30th, 2023. Please note that this timeline assumes that you accurately complete the required reports and that you continue to meet all eligibility criteria. It's easy to assume that you will remember your reporting deadline, but life gets busy. We suggest setting a reminder in your phone or calendar so that you always know when your reports are due and so that your payments will not be delayed. It's a good idea to set these reminders as soon as your application is approved. CCRF quarterly reports allow you to tell TWC which of the approved categories you spent your award funds on. The report form is available on the 2022 CCRF portal. It asks you to certify the amounts you spent on each of the following categories: personnel costs, rent, mortgage and utilities, personal protective equipment, purchases of or updates to equipment and supplies, goods and services, mental health supports, and other allowable expenses. Keep in mind, you can use your award on expenses accrued between September 1st, 2021 and May 31st, 2023. You also will be asked if you used your funds to offer tuition assistance to families enrolled in your program. This is an important topic that we will discuss in detail later in this video. It's important to note that you do not need to spend your entire payment to receive your next check in the mail. You also do not need to report on how you spent your entire payment in order to receive your next one. As long as you report at least some spending during each reporting period, your next payment can be processed. You will be able to return to your report at any time to correct funding categories and amounts and to complete your uses of funds report for each quarter. You also can make updates and corrections over time. Completing your quarterly report form is a 5-step process. First, you will access your report online using the CCRF portal. Then you will open the reporting form by clicking on your active application list. After that, you will enter your total spending by category and enter your tuition assistance policy information. Then you will submit your form. Step 1. Log in. You will access your reporting form by signing in to the Child Care Relief Fund portal using the same user ID and password that you used to apply for the program. If you have any difficulty logging in, you can always contact the technical assistance team by emailing them at ccrelieffunds@trelliscompany.org, calling them at 833-613-3192, or chatting with a customer service representative at childcare.texas.gov. Step 2. Open the reporting form. First, click on your active application list to see the list of applications associated with your user ID. Scroll to the right and click on Funding Application Summary. Next, you will see a list of form payment periods associated with your child care business. If your application has been approved and your payment has been issued, you will see a status of issued with an amount and date listed in the same row. Once this information is listed, a use of funds link will appear in the action column. If your report status shows incomplete next to a use of funds link, you still need to report your use of funds in order to receive your next payment. If your report status shows complete, as it does in the image shown here on the bottom of the slide, then your next payment can be scheduled. Step 3. Enter your total spending for your payment by category. In order to complete your report, click on the Use of Funds link in the Action column. This will bring you to your quarterly reporting form, where you will be asked to list the amount spent in the approved categories for your quarterly payment. If you did not spend your award on one of the categories, you simply do not select that box. You can spend your funds in as many of the categories as your business needs, as long as the expenses are allowable and you have documentation for all of your expenses. You can learn more tips and tricks or strategies for spending through our tools that are available on childcare.texas.gov. One of the requirements for receiving 2022 Child Care Relief funding is that providers consider implementing a tuition assistance policy to provide relief for families in need. On your quarterly reporting form, you will be asked if you are able to offer a tuition assistance policy to the families enrolled in your program. If you did not offer a tuition assistance policy, you will answer no to this question, and then you will be asked to provide a reason why you chose not to offer a policy. The available options you will see are: my CCRF funds were needed for other expenses. I was not aware of families struggling to pay tuition or co-payments. It was too confusing or difficult to offer this relief, or other. If you select other, you will be asked to provide a short explanation. If you have determined that you are unable to offer a tuition assistance policy to the families in your program, you will not be penalized, as long as you considered implementing one and have a reason for choosing not to do so. If you would like to learn more about developing a tuition assistance policy, please see our guide on childcare.texas.gov or register for a free one-on-one call with a child care business expert who can answer any questions you may have. Step 5, submit your form. Next, click on Submit to complete your form. Once you have submitted your form, you will be able to receive your next payment on time, as long as you continue to meet eligibility requirements. You will need to report on at least $1 of your spending by the date your report is due. If you do not have all of your expenses to report before your report is due, you can return at a later time to update your spending amounts in each category. You can check the status of your forms at any time in the Report Status column. It will say complete when you have submitted your form to TWC and incomplete if you have not. Keep in mind that you will be required to report on how you spent all of your funds by your final report deadline of June 30th, 2023. Any funds that have not been used on allowable expenses by May 31st, 2023 must be returned to TWC. To learn more about allowable expenses, visit our resources on childcare.texas.gov. You will not be asked to upload any receipts or documentation on your quarterly reporting form. Still, it is very important to keep accurate documentation of your spending. Doing so allows you to complete your reporting form quickly and accurately, and also helps to avoid unnecessary delays to your next payment. Accurate records also are important in the event that you are selected for monitoring by TWC. To learn more about the monitoring process, see our Monitoring and Documenting Expenses Guide on childcare.texas.gov. You will want to make sure that you keep documentation of your spending on allowable expenses between September 1st, 2021 and May 31st, 2023, whether you are selected for monitoring or not. As such, we recommend that you have a good record-keeping system in place and that you diligently maintain documentation of your expenses so that you have everything you need when it is time to complete your reporting form. Documentation can include receipts, statements, or other proofs of payment that clearly show that you paid the expense, what you paid for unless it is very clear, like a utility company payment, the amount you paid and the date you paid it, and a description of the item purchased or service received. To help save time when you complete your quarterly reporting form for each payment, it is a good idea to group your receipts and proof of payment together by allowable spending category. When completing your quarterly report form, you will be asked to enter how much of your spending was done in each of these categories, so grouping your expenses together accordingly can save you some valuable time. You could set up a system where you have a different folder for each spending category that you will have to report on. As a reminder, those categories are personnel costs, rent, mortgage, and utilities, personal protective equipment, purchases of or updates to equipment and supplies, goods and services, mental health supports, and other allowable expenses. If you need help calculating your expenses for your quarterly report, our guide includes a worksheet that will add up the amounts that you spent for each category during each quarter. You can find that worksheet in Attachment A. You also can learn more about documenting your expenses in the Documenting Expenses and Preparing for Monitoring Guide. You also can learn how to set up a record-keeping system in the Record-Keeping Guide. Both of these are available at childcare.texas.gov. If you need any additional help, tools and resources are available at childcare.texas.gov. Here you will find links to business resources in English and Spanish, as well as a form where you can submit requests for free coaching. Coaching services also are available in English and Spanish.